Welcome back. Somebody that, as I mentioned earlier in the show, who was a sponsor last year, got some great reaction, and is back making people's lives better. He is one of the broker owners of Lender's Choice Mortgages, an independently owned and operated member of the Mortgage Alliance, license 13582. He's also a good friend of mine, and you know what he is? He's a friend of all who seek justice when it comes to mortgages. Don't be hoodwinked by these fly-by-night mortgage brokers, or worse, don't go to your bank, because they'll try and touch you inappropriately. Please say hello to my dear friend and yours, Mike Kazarian. Hello, Michael.
Hello, Mike.
Hello, Howard. Hello, Fred.
Good to see you again.
Look at you.
Good to see you guys again.
You know, it's been a while. It's been a minute. Mike, you're a little younger than Fred and I, but one of the things that, we were talking about my brother having his hip replaced. Fred's brother had his hip replaced. But you're getting to that age. You had some old guy surgery on your shoulder.
I had the rotator cuff surgery elective. Like, I didn't have to do it, but I did it.
And
look at that. And look at that.
Yeah, man. Giving yourself a high five. What made you? What was the impetus for you? Because I remember last year you said your shoulder was bugging you, but I wasn't sure it was bugging you enough to go get it fixed.
Yeah, there was just a period I couldn't sleep at night, and it was very painful. I just couldn't lift my hand over my head, and so I went and got a cortisone shot, did some physio, worked out, and then decided, you know what, I'm still young enough to get the surgery, so might as well do it now.
Just a question, being elective, as you say, you didn't have to have it done. Was there much of a wait for that, Mike?
There was not. They actually had me scheduled for, I think, March or April of last year, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get it done. And then after the first week of golf, I'm like, I'm gonna miss the whole summer of golf. I'm like, I can't do this. I'm gonna be miserable. I'm gonna be miserable all summer.
Yeah.
So I pushed it out to October, and he did a phenomenal job. And it's painful, and it's a long recovery. I'm 6 months in, and they say it takes a year. So
it's interesting because both of our brothers had, as I said, had their hips replaced like 10 weeks ago. And it's interesting listening to my brother talk about his recovery and listening to you talk about it. Like it's almost like that shoulder recovery just from that surgery is actually more painful and more arduous than having your hip replaced.
Yeah, I can't answer the question on the hip.
Well,
I don't know, but
I forgot. Yeah. I forgot I'm the only doctor on this call.
You know what else is interesting? And I think this is why, Howard. My brother sent me an X-ray of his hip, and it's like a whole piece of equipment. Like, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's like, well, titanium, whatever it is. So in some regards, I think it's actually simpler than a shoulder because they're not putting new pieces in it, or they're pulling stuff together for a shoulder, right? Like a rotator cuff or whatever. It's a different beast. Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, Mike, you don't know much about shoulder recovery, but that's fine. You do know about mortgages, and we had spoken to you last year about the number of Canadians, and I don't have this number in front of me, but I remember this from our conversations when it comes to mortgages, that last year and this year, setting some kind of record for Canadians renegotiating, and their mortgages coming up for renewal. So let's start there. Give us some perspective, and then I want to kind of get into what all this uncertainty in the marketplace, tariff-wise and economically, what impact that has on mortgages.
Yeah, so I think I mentioned on one of your shows that there was over 1 million mortgages maturing in 2025 and over 1 million maturing in 2026, which equates to roughly 60% of the outstanding mortgages in Canada. So, I mean, it's a huge amount of mortgages maturing, and people are going to be renewing at much higher rates than what they got 4 or 5 years ago. So we're going to see cash flows impacted by this, and so people really need to shop around and find out what the best options are for them.
And you, as a broker, right, you deal with what is it, upwards of 75 different lenders that you can shop for people?
Yeah, I mean, every brokerage has a different number, but at the
Mm-hmm.
end of the day, like we're going to go wherever it makes sense for our clients, Fred.
Mm-hmm.
We have no preference to any one. And I can tell you, having worked at financial institutions for many, many years before I got into broker space, like, look, they've got one product, one rate, you know. So if you don't qualify or they're not competitive, you know, that's what we do as mortgage
Mm-hmm.
brokers. We shop around, but it's not about shopping around. It's about asking the right questions, finding out what your client's goals are so that you can provide them the best product. That's what it's about. So I don't care if I go to financial institution A, B, C, it doesn't matter. We're going to go wherever it makes sense for you.
And you know, we've talked about this with the Sherpa, our friend Tim Niblett and Jay Bondi. Like, if you looked at a mortgage renewal and saw that the client got a pretty good deal, are there cases where you go, well, that's the best deal you're going to get?
100%. You know what? Like I had clients last week that they showed me what their rates are. I'm like, you should just renew with your current financial institution. We're not going to be able to beat that rate. They offer them a great rate. But here's the thing, it's not just about the rate. So now it's like, okay, you're going to renew at that rate, but can you afford the payments? So now your payment's $500-600 more than what it was previously. So do you need to refinance to increase the amortization and lower the payments? Do you need to get a secured line of credit product now? Because you know what? Maybe you're going to lose your job. Who knows what's going to happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, or you're planning on changing careers or you're going to start your own business. So I say to people, make sure before you make any changes in your employment, get a secured line of credit product if you have enough equity in your property, because you need to have that backup for that rainy day, and maybe you're going to need it for investments or other things. So there's a lot of questions we can ask.
With the bank rate having dropped, I'm not going to say quite a bit, but frequently over the past few months, are people in a situation too where, oh, I want short term because I think it's going to keep going down and keep going down? Do people play that game as well?
They've been doing that for the last year and a half to two
Yeah.
years for sure. And you know,
Mm-hmm.
I can't think of any client that I put into a 4 or 5 year fixed rate mortgage because everybody was anticipating
Mm-hmm.
rates coming down. So most people were going in 3 year fixed rates, but now is like we look at, is a variable rate a good option for you? Because now
Mm-hmm.
we see the spread between a fixed and a variable rate is marginal. So you may pay a little bit of a premium to go in a variable rate mortgage. But if you think that the rates are going to continue to go down, which they are forecasting,
Yes.
then maybe a variable rate. But I will say this, like a lot of people are like, no, I can't deal with that. I can't sleep at
Right.
night. Well, then the variable rate's not the product for you,
Well,
right?
because I was going to
Uncertainty.
say,
Yeah.
yeah, that's
Mm-hmm.
one. It is the uncertainty. A lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know, it's Freddie and I were talking about it, you before the show, and he asked me if you and I had spoke about, because in our business here, we've got to renew our mortgage, and I said, you know, it's funny. I see Mike all the time, and we didn't talk about it, but we're going to have a conversation about it now, not this minute, but I'm going to give you a shout later, just to go through the numbers with you because you're a good resource for another opinion, a second opinion, a third opinion. But in this particular case, do you recommend variable over fixed if all other things being equal?
Everybody has a different risk tolerance, so I can't say that
Mm-hmm.
like generally, like it's if it's better for you. um but I'm going to tell you, a lot of people are going variable rates right now because they are anticipating that the Bank of Canada is going to lower rates by another half a point this year. And I can tell you, the forecast from the big five banks, they're forecasting a half a point right now in 2025. Scotiabank isn't forecasting any rate decreases this year, but they're forecasting 75 basis points in 2026. So there's a big range, but the point is everybody's aiming down. And if rates are going to go down, why not take a variable rate?
Right.
Because here's the thing. Let me just say this about a variable rate, which a lot of people don't know or they don't understand. A variable rate, you can lock it into a fixed rate term that's equal to or longer than your remaining term anytime. So let's just say 6, 9 months down the road, rates have come down half a point. And you're like, okay, I can get locked into a fixed rate below 4%. I'm at 3.6%. That I'm happy with that. You could only lock it into a 5 year fixed rate at that time. If in 12 months you could lock it into 4 or 5.
Yeah. And you talk about sleeping at night. Again, it's all tied to the amount of the mortgage as well. If it's 100,000, obviously you can be a little more open. But if your mortgage is $500,000 or $600,000 and you want that certainty, I mean, I can understand. It's a big decision to make.
Can we circle back? Mike, can you go back to what you just said, if you don't mind? Just because it passed by there a little bit. So you're saying if you have a variable rate mortgage and 6 or 9 months down the road, you say, oh, I'm now at a rate that I'm comfortable with. But if I lock it in at that point, you have to lock it in for a longer term. You can't lock it in for 3 years, or you have to lock it in at a longer term. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's a great question. So some lenders offer 3-year variable rate mortgages. Some offer 5-year variable rate mortgages. I've never put a client into a 3-year variable rate mortgage. And here's the reason. You can only lock it into a term that's equal to or longer than your remaining term.
Okay.
So if I'm in a 3-year variable rate mortgage and I'm 12 months in, I can only lock it into a 3-year fixed rate.
For 3 years from that point, not what's remaining in the okay. So if we lock it in, for 5 years and a year down the road, I decide to go fixed, I can do it for the 4 years remaining or 5 years.
4 or 5, yeah.
Okay.
You couldn't go 1, 2, or 3 because
got it.
The total amount has to equal the original term.
The original term. I got it.
Yeah.
So, and what about my other question a couple of questions ago, which was the economy, the tariffs, all the uncertainty. Does that drive people's choices in your business, do you think?
100%. 100% it does. I mean, there's so much uncertainty right now, as we all know, and there's so much real estate inventory right now, and a lot of people are sitting on the sidelines. A lot of people can't sell their homes. They're looking to move up, and they can't sell their existing properties. So there's a lot of uncertainty right now. I think once rates come down another 0.5 point to 0.75 point, once these tariffs, I don't know if that's ever going to figure itself out, but yeah, the uncertainty is definitely putting people on pause right now.
All right.
Yeah, it's sure has screwed things up in the short term, hasn't it?
I'm looking
at
at
the long term.
You know, I've known Mike a long time, and it says here in Mike's bio that beyond his busy mortgage business, Mike enjoys golf. I didn't know that. And that you're married to someone that we've had on the show several times. She's a very fine artist, singer-songwriter named Andrea England, and she's lovely. I knew that. But here on the bio, Fred, it says that Mike and Andrea have 2 cats. And I did not know that their names were Mittens and Sophie. Are they still
They are our children. Yes.
Mittens and Sophie, huh? Okay.
Yeah.
So how many times do you think on Wednesday when we're playing, I'm going to call you either Mittens or Sophie, do you think?
I will call you Stan. Hey, but let me just give a shout out here. So Andrea, my wife, as you just mentioned, she hosts a show called 4 Chords and the Truth.
That's right.
It's an amazing singer-songwriter show that she curates and hosts, and her next show is on May 22nd. There are a few at TD Music Center, which is at Massey Hall. She's got an amazing lineup. It's her 10-year anniversary. Check it out. 4 Chords and the Truth.
Excellent. Mittens, the cat named Mittens because the end of its paws are a different color than the rest of its legs?
So we did not name Mittens.
Okay.
Yeah.
We adopted
because that's
Mittens
obvious, right? That's obvious.
The old we didn't name it Mittens bit.
Yeah.
We adopted Mittens from Galen, and who you know, Howard,
I do.
Galen named Mittens. So
Okay.
But for that reason, though, right? The paws are.
You know what, Fred? You know, I'm pretty sure as of this moment we could change that name. You could start calling it because the cat ain't coming. Speaking of 4 Chords and the Truth, how about a little Andrea England music here as we? Oh, she's so talented, man. How did you ever?
Keep a locket on a string around.
Listen to this.
Neck, with nothing in it but the one I don't have.
All right, enough fooling around. Listen, if you're in the market for a mortgage, as Mike said, lots of them coming due. Maybe one of them is yours. It's easy to see why Mike has been so successful in this business. Lender's Choice Mortgages. That's how you get a hold of Mike and his partner. What is the actual easiest way?
Email me at mike@lenderschoice.ca.
Excellent. Mike at lenderschoice.ca. It's great to have you back. As we said last time, what a great guy to have a conversation with. Many Humble and Fred people took advantage of it, and Mike is back to see if he can help more Humble and Fred folks get the best price for their mortgage. And I'm going to give you a shout later because I have to renew ours here in this little business, and I believe you're in the mortgage business. We should figure something out.
Thank you, guys. Good to
All right,
see you
bud.
again.
Yes, Michael,
Mike.
we'll see you soon, and see you on Wednesday.
Yes.
Pal, see you later.
Okay, Fred.
See you later, muffins. I mean, what? Is it
Oh,
muffins?
no.
Is it muffins?